you're gonna see so many opinions on Twitter and on social media for the next couple days. It's gonna be pretty crazy. All-Star Race 2018. Let me just cut right to it. Was it a good race? Yes. Was it better than last year? Yes. Way yes. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about the actual events of the race, then we'll talk about the package and all that stuff. Right at the beginning of the race, Kurt Busch spun in 3 and 4, which was a little bit odd to see because we were thinking that the cars had grip, the cars were full throttle, and then Kurt Busch kind of spun it in 3 and 4. So a little bit weird to see. Was going to be a indication of what was going to happen for the rest of the race. It didn't really happen like that. And for the rest of the first stage, and the segments are really simple. This is how I like the All-Star Race to be. 30 laps, 20 laps, 20 laps, 10 laps, 4 different segments, 80 laps in total. And you just race and race hard. That's it. No gimmicks, no nothing like that. We're good to go. Kevin Harvick gets out into the lead early, and I predicted that he would not be caught at the beginning of the race, and he was never caught. He actually pulled away to about a half a second lead. Not like with the old package. If you want to compare it with the old package, he'd probably pull away to a 2, 3, 4 second lead. He pulled away to about a half a second. There was some decent amount of pack racing, but the sun wasn't completely down. Track was cool, not completely cooled down, and so you saw a little bit more spread out racing. Harvick would win stage 1, we'd move on to stage 2, and when the sun completely dropped down and the track was completely cool and the drivers were able to stay full throttle, you saw a little bit more pack racing. Also, Kevin Harvick wasn't in the lead. Harvick fell back due to pit strategy a little bit. Truex came up there, Keselowski came up there, some other guys came up there, and it was very typical, pretty much pack racing, just with a little bit of a twist. It was like a truck race, but if you thought about a truck race, slow down the cars a little bit. Now, group them up a little bit more, and add the ability of side drafting a lot, like a lot. So very similar to a truck race, but it was exciting, it was entertaining. You were able to see 2, 3, 4 wide passing. Well, not 4 wide. 4 wide would not really work later on in the race. Kasey Kahne at this point would hit the wall, and I actually feel bad for Kasey Kahne because this is really tough as a driver. You could just say he just kind of drives it into the wall, but when you're trying to bump draft and you're right behind another car, especially when their spoiler is higher than Mount Everest, you really can't see. You can't really see anything, so you're just driving off feel and just trying to follow the car behind you, and then he kind of misjudged it and just drove into the wall. It's an unfortunate feeling. It happens. Alex Bowman would also do the same thing that Kurt Busch did. He lost it in the middle of a corner and went up into the wall as well, so it was a little bit odd to see that. I wasn't expecting cars to get that loose. I really wasn't. So we move to the end of the third segment. Caution comes out, and then we have an overtime for a third stage, which I never really understood. Apparently it's already a rule and it has been for the last couple of years, but I was just thinking back like the good old mid-2000s, late 2000s, where we had segments, not stages, and basically what would happen is if a segment ended or a caution came out with like 2, 3 laps to go, it would just end under caution. I thought that was what's going to happen, but then we had overtime rules, and I was kind of confused on it because what's the point of having an overtime for a stage 3 end, but the stage doesn't offer anything. It doesn't offer any points, or there's no reward for winning it, so I was a little bit confused on that part. And when we bunched all these guys up, we had a little 2-lap overtime. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. tried going 4 wide, or maybe he was already there and Truex and him got together, and then that took out a good amount of good cars like Boyer, like Truex, like Keselowski, and it was pretty unfortunate. And that's the risk you get with this package because everyone's so grouped up. You kind of knew that a wreck like this was going to happen. It's like a mini Talladega Daytona. It's really what it is. So then we go to the fourth stage, a little bit of strategy and everything. Kevin Harvick is up towards the front, and he rockets out towards the front. And I tweeted at this point, I was like, there was no way anyone's catching him. I just didn't think they would. And even if you did catch him, I didn't think you were going to pass him. So with 2 laps to go, Suarez ain't able to get there, and Suarez is trying to run him down. And then caution comes out for an incident between Joey Logano and Kyle Larson. And Joey Logano, I was laughing my ass off when I saw this first time. Because Joey Logano basically said, nah, you ain't getting away with that. Come back here. And he was trying to turn him head on to the wall. And he was able to clip Kyle Larson in the right rear. Larson turns it back to the left and spins through the grass. But Joey Logano did not appreciate getting driven up into the wall like that. And Kyle Larson did say it was his fault. And I kind of agree it was Larson's fault. He never technically walled Logano, but he was pulling off a slide job, and once he realized he wasn't going to make the corner, Larson tried backing off, but at that point, Logano had no room. Logano was driving himself into the wall because he was trying not to make contact with Kyle Larson, so Logano then retaliated, and yeah, that was pretty funny, I will say. Then we get to the end of the race. Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, that's your front 4. Harvick and Logano are on the outside with Suarez and Hamlin on the inside, and Suarez gets a good push from Hamlin, gets a really good push but was not able to clear Harvick coming out of turn 2. And once that happened, race over, GG, good night. Kevin Harvick pulls out, and it is a done deal. Rodney Childress and that 4 team and that driver have something in those cars. It does not matter what the package is. It does not matter what the engine is. It does not matter what car you put or what car and what track you put together. They are really, really good. They're having an incredible season, 1998 Jeff Gordon-esque. And it's very, very good. So let's get to the results. Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, Logano, Hamlin, and Chase Elliott round out your top 5, with Jimmy Johnson, Larson, Allmendinger, Kyle Busch, Case Kane round out your top 10. And then the rest of the results, as you can see, the rest of the results don't really matter because tonight it was just an exhibition race and you just want to win. So Kevin Harvick is that guy. Big shout out to Daniel Suarez because he ran a great race. He tried the best he can, and I'm very proud of him for that race. And Logano as well, good race. Chase Elliott ending up in 5th. He never really got any higher than that. He was kind of eh. And the rest of the guys, yeah, it's AJ Allmendinger. Actually, shout out to AJ Allmendinger because I didn't talk about the Open in this review, and he did win an Open and get into the race. And I think he did very well for most of the night. He just got into the wall there. I think it was in stage 2. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Okay, let's get to what everyone wants to talk about now, which is the package. So before I say anything, I'm just going to say, leave your comments down below. It's opinions. You guys, the fans, are probably going to determine how NASCAR goes with this. So just opinions, leave it down in the comments. Now, if you want to just wait and see what my opinion is and then leave your opinion down there, I'd appreciate that because I just have a couple of things to say. I'm going to make a separate video later this week about it because I feel like there's just way too much to go into and I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm just going to make a couple quick touches. Number 1, for the All-Star race, this was a good package. It worked at Charlotte. It was a plate race like NASCAR wanted. It was group pack racing. If you remember a couple of years ago, Brian France always wanted pack racing. That's what he wanted NASCAR to be. Well, this is Brian France's dream. It's pack racing at a 1.5 mile track, and drivers are full throttle. We laughed at Brian France years ago, but you got it to happen. This is really what he wanted. It worked. It was fun. It was exciting. It was an entertainment show for the fans, for the All-Star race. 9 out of 10, good race, exciting, fun, had everything an All-Star race should have. So, yeah. Now let's talk about the package and what it would do for the rest of the season. So, do you want to take this to other 1.5 mile tracks or to other 2 mile tracks like Michigan, Indy, or Pocono? Would you want to do that? I'll get into more detail with it later, but a tweet by Chase Briscoe really kind of summed up my initial thoughts. So here's what it said. I'll admit the racing at Charlotte has been better than years past, but I think this is an all-star only package and maybe a few other tracks, Indy, Pocono, etc. I personally think Cup cars should be the hardest and fastest cars to drive, not the easiest. I completely agree with that statement. There's more I want to add. I completely agree with that statement, and there's more I like to add to it because if you took this package to, let's say, Atlanta, okay? So you want full throttle racing at Atlanta. It's not going to happen because that track completely eats the tires. You're not going to get it, and that would be the worst mile-and-a-half race you've ever seen because the cars are stupid, dummy slow and can't run in a pack. So for the people that want this exact package with the plates included, you have to think about the other tracks. I think it works at Charlotte. I think it'd work at Indy. I think it would work at Michigan. I think at those tracks it would work, and it would be pack racing if you wanted pack racing. There are a lot of people who just want exciting, close racing, and they don't really care how to get it, and you might be like that too. I'm just saying, think very carefully about the overall picture, the overall kind of mindset of what this package would do everywhere, because you have to think about that. Let's talk about the individual parts of this package. So there was 4 main parts. Number 1, we have the 2014 splitter. Number 2, we have the 6-inch spoiler with the 8-inch ears. Number 3, we have the aero ducts, and number 4, we have the plates. So if we just break that down one by one, the 2014 splitter, I can't really tell much of a difference. That has to be seen through R&D and stuff and wind tunnel stuff. Number 2, the spoiler. I think a bigger spoiler is needed for the future cars, and I think it did a good job tonight of what it was supposed to do, which is add drag and slow the cars down and give a little bit more downforce. Number 3, the aero ducts. I think you guys know very well I am very, 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 very high on the aero ducts. I love them. I think they should always be on this car and on the Gen 7 car. I think they need to be on it. It adds drag in an area where the car desperately needs drag, and I think it creates a little bit more suck-up. Now, we didn't see the suck-up in individual one-on-one racing that I thought we would, but there was more there. It was definitely better than what we have now, so big yes on the aero ducts. And number 4, and the biggest talking point that it will be, is the plates. You have to ask yourself as a fan, do you want plates on many of these tracks? I can't tell you what you want. You have to devise your own opinion. I can only tell you what I want, and that's a huge no for me. I can't take plates at intermediate tracks. I can do it for an all-star race, because if you think about all-star races or all-star games in any sport, it's different. There's always different rules, and you just want to have more fun with it. So if you were racing with your friends on, let's say, a video game, you would want to do full throttle racing. It's kind of the most fun because it's just memeing and you're just kind of going around. So for an all-star race, I completely agree with it. Because if they can't change the track and they need to leave it at Charlotte, we got to make it fun, make it into a plate race, I get it. But once you take that plate idea and now you go everywhere with it. So now what you're doing is you want most of the sport to be wide open, full throttle drafting. It takes the skill away. It takes the integrity away from the sport. Now, is it better than what we have with Gen 6? We don't know yet because it's only been at one track. At Charlotte, yes, it's better. If you took it to Atlanta, I don't think it'd be better at all. So in the end, this was a test session, and we had to test out certain components of the car to see how they all interact with each other. And I think the aeroduct, spoiler, they worked very well. Plates, for this track, worked well. Gotta be very careful with it in the future. I think aeroducts and spoiler for the future Gen 7 car, which, however that car is being designed, because the body is, you could take all these parts and it doesn't matter. The body, the actual construction of the body of Gen 7 is more important than any of these things. So when they get that car 2-3 years from now, what do we do until then, 2-3 years from now? What do we do until we get that car? Do you want to see this package more? It's your decision. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just leave your comments down below. I'm telling you what I want, and I'll explain it further in a video next week about why I think this isn't the answer for the future, but for the All-Star race, I'm all good with it. Like I said, good race. There's going to be a lot of talking points about it, and we'll get into that later. For this race review, I thought it was great. Congratulations to Kevin Harvick. He is, I mean, just so good. He's so good. That car is so good. That team is so good. The organization is incredible. I mean, they can't really miss a beat right now. Probably expect him to be the fastest in the Coke 600. Now, expectations for the Coke 600 next week, not expecting much. It's probably going to be a pretty boring race because we all know the current package is also pretty bad. Now, would you want this package to be run for the 600? It's not going to happen because you just can't. But it is what it is. 600 next week. We'll enjoy it, and let's see what NASCAR does moving on. If you guys like the video, make sure to like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'm pretty sure you guys will comment down below, so I don't need to tell you to do it because I already have. And I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and peace out.
Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I tried, my love, she keeps me warm.